Hello folks, in this video I'm going to present a set of 45 questions for you, and this 45 questions will be related to chapter 1, measurement and experimentation, for class 9 ICSE. And basically I have tried to cover um, most of the questions from third part, and if you want to solve the questions from the first two parts, that is regarding units, then regarding vernier caliper and screw gauge, then you can you know check my other videos as well. I have shared previously a set of 62 questions, and then I guess maybe 35 questions. So in this video I'm going to share a set of 45 questions with all of you, and the first question is already on your screen. That is, what are the two physical components required for an ideal simple pendulum? Now, as I have said in my previous video, if for any of the questions you are having any doubt with the answer, or you feel it's complicated, please do write in the comment section. I'll provide the answers for all the questions whichever you are having doubt. So first question is already on the screen. I'll move on to the second question. In real world applications, what materials are typically used for the bob of a pendulum? Very important question. Just in one part of this chapter only the answer is given, but it's just, I think, one line given in the book. So find out and write the answer. Third question is on your screen. What term refers to the rest position of a simple pendulum bob? What term refers to the rest position of a simple pendulum bob? Fourth question, why is the pendulum used in a household clock classified as a compound pendulum? Why is the pendulum used in a household clock classified as a compound pendulum? Fifth question, define one complete oscillation of a pendulum. Sixth, what is the period of oscillation? That is, you have to define the time period here. Seventh question, what is the SI unit for the period of oscillation? Eighth question, what does the frequency of oscillation represent? What does the frequency of oscillation represent? What are the standard units used to measure frequency? What are the standard units used to measure frequency? State the mathematical relationship between the time period and the frequency. 11th question is on your screen. What is amplitude in context of a pendulum's motion? Please remember, here you have to define amplitude relative to pendulum, not relative to light or sound wave. Okay. 12th question is on your screen. What symbol and SI unit are typically used for amplitude? Remember, you have to mention the symbol as well as the SI unit. Okay. 13th question. Define the effective length of a simple pendulum. Define the effective length of a simple pendulum. 14th question. You have to write the formula or state the formula. How is the effective length calculated? If L, that is capital S, is capital L is string length, and small letter r is bob radius. So with the help of this variable only, you have to write the formula for calculating the effective length. In the pendulum experiments, why is the time for a large number of oscillations measured instead of just one? Very tricky question. While we are performing experiments related to pendulum, why is the time period for a large number of oscillations like 20 measured instead of 1? 16th question. How is the time period of a simple pendulum related to its effective length? 17th question is on your screen. If the effective length of a pendulum is increased 4 times, how does the time period change? 18th question. What type of line is produced when plotting a graph of t square against L? What does the slope of a t square versus L graph represent? Now you have to state the formula. How can acceleration due to gravity be determined from the slope of a t square versus L graph? So here you have to write the formula for finding out the value of g while we are using the t square versus L graph. How does the mass or material of the bob affect the time period of a simple pendulum? 22nd question is on your screen. What is the relationship between the time period and the acceleration due to gravity? Why does a pendulum clock go slow in summer? 24th. Why does a pendulum clock go fast in winter? 25th question. How does standing up while swinging affect the time period of the swing? Why does the time period of a swing decrease when the person stands up? Why does a pendulum clock run slow when taken to high mountains or deep mines? If you are having trouble in solving, let me remind you the previous videos. The entire explanations and everything are given. You can find out the answer from the videos as well, or you can take the help of the book to find out these answers. Now I'll present the 28th question in your screen. Under what condition is the time period of a pendulum independent of its amplitude? Under what condition is the time period of a pendulum independent of its amplitude? Very tricky question it was. 29th question is on your screen. Provide the complete mathematical expression for the time period of a simple pendulum. So you have to write the formula. How do we calculate time period t of a simple pendulum? 30th question is on your screen. What is a seconds pendulum? 31st. How much time does it take for a seconds pendulum to move from one extreme position to the other? What is the approximate effective length of a seconds pendulum where g is equals to 9.8 meter per second square? So value of g is given. You have to find out the effective length of a seconds pendulum. You just have to recall what is the time period of a seconds pendulum, put the values in the formula and find out the effective length. If the lengths of two simple pendulums are 1 meter and 16 meter, what is the ratio of their time periods? 34th question is on your screen. What is the frequency of a seconds pendulum? If you remember the time period and just recollect the relationship between the time period and the frequency, and then find out using that formula the value of the frequency of a seconds pendulum. In the t square versus L graph formula, how is slope calculated from 2 points P and Q? So here you can just mention how the slope is calculated. Short formula is there. Screw gauge. Okay, so this question is related to screw gauge. What is the pitch of the screw? It will just help you in bit of revision. Now you have to mention the formula. How is the least count of a screw gauge calculated? 38th question is on your screen. If a screw gauge has a pitch of 0.5 millimeter and 500 divisions on its head, what is its least count? Okay, what is its least count? And one more question I would like to add from my part. What type of screw gauge is it? That means just name if you know what type of means what we call such a screw gauge which has got 0.5 millimeter pitch and 500 divisions on its head. Okay, 39th question is on your screen. What happens to the time period of a simple pendulum if it is moved to a location where g is 4 times greater? Just uh, just recollect the way time period is related to the value of g, and then if g is 4 times greater, then think how the time period is going to change. Define the term mean position, define the term extreme position. 42nd question is on your screen. According to the observation table, what is the value of the constant ratio L by T square if L equals to 49 centimeter and T equals to 1.4 second? So you have to find the value of this ratio L by T square. Next question. Does the time period of a simple pendulum depend on the shape of the bob? How does the time period of a simple pendulum relate to the mass of the string? And the last question is on your screen. If the time for 20 oscillations is 32 seconds, what is the time period? I'll just give one hint for this question since it's the last one. Time period, how do we define time period? Time period means the time taken to complete one oscillation. So here the time for 20 oscillation is given 32 seconds. You find out the time for one oscillation and that will be your time period. Please do not forget, for this type of questions you must mention the correct unit as well in your answer. Okay, so this is it for set of 45 questions. I am sure some questions will be tricky for you. Please do mention in the comment section. I am going to try to reply to whatever comments I get, and I'll get back soon with more set of questions for overall this chapter and for other chapters and subjects as well very soon. Thank you everyone.